Bubba is boring. That's right. You read the title, and no, this is not clickbait. I genuinely believe Bubba is boring. Kind of. With an asterisk, and maybe some air quotes around it, but still, I think he's boring. Now, before I get assassinated by Bubba fans number 47, who will send me to my nearest god, please let me explain myself a little bit, and let me explain why I think Bubba is boring. Also, one quick side note before we dive into why I think Bubba is so boring, please note, this is from the killer's perspective of playing Bubba, not the survivor's perspective. So, this is just on the killer end of things. I am not qualified, and there is not enough time in the day for me to dive into both the killer and survivor side of things, so we're going to strictly be focusing on playing Bubba, not playing against Bubba. So, with that said, here is why I find Bubba so boring. But first, some background. I started playing Bubba about 2 weeks ago. My first game as Bubba was approximately 2 weeks ago. I know, not a great look, playing Bubba for only 2 weeks and immediately coming to this opinion, which, you know what? That's a fair critique, but we're going to come back to that point later. Just keep that in the back of your mind for now, because I promise you it will be important later. For now, let's talk about the baby Bubba experience. And if I'm being totally honest, it's a blast. I absolutely loved it. It's genuinely super fun. Learning him is super fun, mostly because he's very easy to understand. And honestly, there were tons of just funny and goofy moments to be had with baby Bubba. It was absolutely fantastic. However, after the killer honeymoon phase, as I'm going to call it, which lasted about a week, Bubba, at least for me, just got really boring and kind of old really fast. And now, my problem with Bubba can be summed up with 3 words. Lack of complexity. Bubba is easy to play. As a matter of fact, I would say he's too easy to play. Now, to be fair, this is not an inherently bad thing. Most people consider this actually a good thing, which is totally fair. I mean, look at killers like Huntress and Deathslinger. Both these killers are extremely simple, and yet I played both of them hundreds of times, and guess what? I'm not bored of them, and I still find them extremely fun. So simplicity is not the problem, at least not by itself, no. The problem is lack of skill expression. Remember how I said I played Bubba for a whopping 2 weeks, and I am already sick of him. My reason for that is simple. After my first week of playing Bubba, I mastered him in his entirety. Now, admittedly, that might sound like a really arrogant and stupid thing to say, but let's be honest here, there's really not a whole lot to learn about Bubba. I mean, what is there to learn? You have to learn how to work around windows, you have to learn how the tantrum works, and you have to learn how to use the power and chase. None of those things are particularly complex, and honestly, after like my first 15 games of Bubba, mechanically speaking, he was completely mastered. I had nothing left to learn. And now, obviously, of course, your chase skills can be improved, and, you know, certain map knowledge can be improved to do better as Bubba, but that's not really specific to Bubba, that's just you being good at the game. Bubba itself, or himself, I should say, has no actual complexity. There's nothing complex about him. He's just a guy with a chainsaw that goes herder, and then everyone explodes. Which, don't get me wrong, it's satisfying the first 10 times, but after that, it's just really, really boring. Honestly, the best way I can describe Bubba is he's just a less satisfying and less dynamic version of Hillbilly, which is just kind of sad. And just to really hammer the point home, I'm gonna make a comparison here. Let's pull up a killer like, say, I don't know, a Deathslinger, right? Deathslinger is incredibly mechanically simple. I mean, at the end of the day, all he is a dude with a gun. You would think he'd be in the same boat as Bubba because his power is just stupidly simple and there's not a whole lot to learn. Except there is. Deathslinger plays differently in every single map, in every situation. There's not going to be a Deathslinger game that plays out the same way. Every single map is unique for him, every single angle is unique, and honestly, you could play Deathslinger 400 times and you probably still wouldn't know all the angles. That's just how complex he can get. Now compare that to Bubba. What is there, where is the complexity in Bubba? Where is it? Genuinely, because maybe I'm just totally missing it here, but once again, all he does is he presses a button, he walks towards the survivors, and they explode. That's it. Is there some unique interaction? Sure, a little bit. Maybe there's some unique tantrum interactions, or there's some weird palette interactions, but beyond that, that's it. And that right there is why I think Bubba is boring. So, gentlemen, that is my take on Bubba. I know, I probably burnt the kitchen to the ground, but honestly, if I were to try and describe Bubba, he's like a brownie. He is delectable and delicious in small doses. Because if you have too many of them where you consume it too much, you're just going to explode. And you're not going to be feeling too good after the fact. So, overall, that's my opinion on Bubba. I hope you enjoyed it. And just for the record, this is not a Bubba hate video. I don't hate Bubba. I have nothing against Bubba. I just think he is in a weird state right now, and he's just not that interesting, and I really wish he was just a little more dynamic. So, that's my take on Bubba. Maybe I burnt the kitchen to the ground. Maybe I didn't, but I want to hear about it in the comments. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, do the YouTuber things. On that note, stay strong, stay clear. Spitfire out.